John Banville was born in Wexford, Ireland in 1945. He was educated at Christian Brothers School and St. Peter's College, Wexford. He worked in journalism from 1969 as sub-editor on the Irish Press and from 1986 at the Irish Times. He was literary editor at the Irish Times from 1988 to 1999. Banville's first book, Long Lankin, a collection of short stories and a novella, was published in 1970. His first novel, Nightspawn, came out in 1971. Subsequent novels include Dr. Copernicus, Kepler, The Newton Letter, The Book of Evidence, Ghosts, The Untouchable, and Margaret Atwood has a question about that for you. The Sea and the Infinities. Among awards John Banville's novels have won are the Allied Irish Bank's Fiction Prize, the American Irish Foundation Award, the James Tate Black.
Seagulls.
That's beautiful.
Seagulls.
I sure hope we catch some of that. Is it coming in through the chimney?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I came in here one day and there was a thing sitting on that table.
Right.
I looked at it and I said, "Oh, my bloody wife has bought this awful vulgar bird." And then it moved. It had come down through the chimney.
Kidding. Okay. And where were we? The Untouchable. The Sea won the Booker Prize in 2005, and in 2011 he was awarded the Franz Kafka Prize. Now I'm reading this from a John Banville Reader, which came out in 2012. So, John, could you please tell me and ask what you've been up to for the past decade?
Oh, I've won hundreds of prizes since then. Hundreds. The nicest prize I got was the Prince of Asturias Award in Spain. And the reason I say it's the nicest is that all speeches were limited to 3 minutes. I got to meet the King and Queen, who were delightful people, and they told me that if I should come to Asturias again, they hope that something that happens usually is that when the winners are coming into the palace to receive their prize, the peacocks from the local park walk ahead of them or behind them. So I can't wait to go back. I'd love to be photographed with the peacock walking behind me.
Well, they sound as distinctive as that seagull does, don't they?
Yeah. Well, the seagulls here, they drive us crazy. I mean, we live on the coast here.
Yeah, we're in
In
Howth.
Yeah, Howth.
Just, what, half an hour north of Dublin.
Yeah, and we're looking out at, well, we used to have a wonderful view here until this monstrosity was built in front, but we're looking out on Ireland's Eye, which is the sleeping giant in Joyce's Finnegan's Wake. And half a mile up the hill is the rhododendrons, where Leopold Bloom and Molly had their tryst at the end of Ulysses. So it's a historic place.
Yes, yes.
But you know, my poor generation of Irish writers, we have all those people standing behind us. Irish writing, for some reason, doesn't seem to do middlebrow writing. Doesn't have a tradition.
No, it's like Margaret Atwood doesn't have anyone to compete with in Canada.
Yeah, well, we have, my God. And I always say they stand behind us like Easter Island statues.
Yes.
Looming over us, saying, you know.
So is that why you're writing? Is that why you're putting so much out in hopes that you're going to... What?
Well, I write because I have to.
Okay.
It's like breathing. What else would I do? My wife used to say, when I said, I'm going to give up writing, she'd say, "Oh yes, and then you'll take up politics and destroy the world."
Yes. Well, okay, so before you do that, just to clue you into the mission of my project here, I've been tracking down what I call best practitioners in all sorts of roles. connected to the book in hopes of getting a sort of a panoramic overview of the book at the turn of the 21st century. Yes. And so 4 simple questions I have for you. One is, what do you do? How do you do it? Why do you do it? And why does it matter?
Those are simple questions, all right, yeah. Very easy.
So, but before I let you go on the first one, what do you do? I'm going to guess that it has something to do with a combination of using your imagination, research, cluing into interesting stories that may have been told to you or maybe not, and crafting beautiful, funny sentences and metaphors. Is that what you do?
Are we recording now?
I think we are. I
Right.
hope we are.
I write because I have to. I started writing fiction when I was 11 or 12. My sister had given me a copy of Joyce's short story collection, Dubliners. I was fascinated to realize that fiction could be about life as I knew it. These weren't stories about detectives or schoolboys or Western yarns. This was life as grim, grimy, and glorious life as I knew it. So I immediately started writing dreadful imitations of Joyce's Dubliners. They were really bad. But I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And I kept writing it. Then when I was about 17, 18, I wrote a little story called The Party. Not a very good story. But it was very important to me because when I finished it, it drifted free of me. I felt that I'd given birth. And then I thought, yeah, I can be a writer.
You've made something that wasn't there before and it's now in the world.
Yeah, somebody once asked Govardhan why he'd written this book, and he said because it wasn't there. Yeah, I mean, to make something new and put it into the world, I can't judge how successful it is or not, but it is something new that wasn't there before.
Okay, so dipping into your essays here in this reader that was put out by Picador that I referenced, you start off personae of summer.
Depends whether you went to Oxford or Cambridge, of course.
Right. Here's what you say. I do not think I am a novelist. As a writer, I have little or no interest in character, plot, motivation, manners, politics, morality, social issues. The word psychology, when it is applied to art, makes me want to reach for my revolver. To those of you who at this point are about to stop reading, let me hasten to say that this is not an anti-humanist attitude I'm striking, nor even really a postmodernist one. I do believe that the art of fiction does deal with the world, that world which in our arrogance we call ordinary, but that deals with it in very special and specialized ways. So what are those ways?
Art sets up a parallel universe, parallel world. The work of art is finished. It's rounded. It's a polished, rounded object. Life is not like that at all. We don't remember our birth. We will not experience our death. As Wittgenstein said, death is not an event in life. I think that's true. So all we have is this mess in the middle. And that's why we go to works of art, because works of art are finished.
When you reference Kermode, right?
Yeah.
The sense of an ending.
Sense of ending. Even at their most incoherent, they have a beginning, middle, and an end. And even at their most mysterious, and all real works of art are wholly mysterious. This is why we keep going back to them. They never get used up.
And you can't explain them, or this is what I'm going to try and get you to do. Yeah. But you suggest that they're uncannily, as you say, mysterious.
Yeah, I mean, the work of art, it can't be expressed in any other form than its own form.
Right, like a poem.
Yeah, work of art is, or a picture, or a piece of music. You can't translate a piece of music into language. I always feel sorry for the poor people who have to write program notes for concerts,
Right.
And they're saying, at this point it goes into D minor, and which means nothing. They should just stop, because music is music. All art, as Walter Pater said, aspires to the condition of music.
Yes.
That we don't have to express anything. One of my mottos as a writer is Kafka. Kafka said the artist is the one who has nothing to say.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
I have nothing to say. I have no message to deliver. As I said, I don't.
So you're trying to entertain us and make some money off some
I don't
books?
care whether you're entertained or not.
But what are you trying to do? You're trying to sell books?
I'm not at all. I have no interest in selling books. I remember. No, it happened.
No, you used to though. No,
No.
you never did.
Well, that's why I worked in journalism, to make a living, so that I didn't have to worry about whether books sold or not.
Right. Okay. So what do you do?
Well, but I'll tell you. One of my books was shortlisted for the Booker Prize in 1989.
Right.
My wife said, "What? They must have misread it." And she thought about it for a while and said, "Don't worry, dear. You write another book, a better book. So,
You did say she had a fantastic ear and she was a great editor.
Perfect pitch.
Perfect pitch is what you said. Yeah.
No,
And you reference you quote her a lot.
oh yeah, she was.
When did she die?
November 2021.
Right. Yeah, how was
I miss
that?
her sorely.
I'm sure that's tough.
She was a wonderful woman. I'll tell you a story which you can't put on the podcast.
Okay.
She was American. She was.
Oh, was she? Oh.
Born in St. Louis.
Can we can go with this, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she was born in St. Louis. She went to school in Berkeley, California.
Just like T.S. Eliot.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she and Eliot were from very different parts of St. Louis, but she was a delightful woman.
That's very nice. And how long were you married to her for?
Oh my God, for about 150 years, I think.
Seems
she used
like
to say it feels like 150 years.
right.
But then I went off with another woman in the 1990s and had.
You did?
Oh yeah, I had 2 daughters with her.
With a new one.
Yeah.
And what happened to the American one?
Oh, I stayed with her. I was in love with both of them. Still am in love with both of them.
And that was okay with both of them?
No, it was not.
But it enabled you to write a lot of interesting stuff, I bet.
Oh no, I don't. No, I don't think that the circumstances of one's life affect what one writes. Writing is completely separate from life.
I totally.
People find this.
I disagree with that.
I know you do. And most people do. But for me, life is what I do when I'm not writing.
Right. And it doesn't inform your writing. How can it not?
It would, but not directly.
Yes.
It's all stuff. It's all compost.
Yes.
My poor wife used to say, "You're saying I'm compost."
Well, she is. Good compost.
I have her ashes downstairs. I don't know what to do.
What do you?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in a pot and plant either a rose bush in it or
Oh, that's nice.
sweet pea or something. Wouldn't that be a good way to do it?
My father loved Grouse Mountain in Vancouver. And although I don't think you're allowed to do this, we went up there and scattered it all right on the top.
You have to do that kind of thing on a calm day. The wind is blowing.
Yeah.
You get
Your relative in your face. Yes. Okay, so did you answer that or not? I can't.
Well, that's what I do. I make sentences.
Yes, that's the greatest invention of humankind.
Oh, I believe that. We would be what we are, for good or ill, with that sentence.
Yeah, no, it's true. And, when the most important thing that happens to most people in their lives is they fall in love, hopefully more than once, and without sentences, what?
Yeah. Well, there are other ways of communicating when you're in love.
Well, yes,
but they're brief.
There are. But to get to that point, you typically have to use sentences.
W.H. Auden used to refer to the orgasm as that sneeze.
He wrote a poem about the blowjob, I think.
Did he?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past him. I've come to realize, actually, I'm not a great admirer of Auden's work, but I've come to realize that I probably resemble him in that I have no interest in being a great man.
Right.
I have no interest in being a legend. I'm sorry now that I didn't write anonymously from the very start, so that nobody would know who I am.
Because why?
Because as I've said, I have nothing to say. I have no opinions. I just make works of art.
Yeah, I just don't believe this.
As a human being, as a citizen, you see the distinction I make between human being and artist. I do think they're two separate. When I sit down to write at my desk, I cease to be
a human being.
a human being. Yes, I do.
Yeah, but you've still got an ego. The first thing you started off with was, damn, that Joyce, how the hell am I supposed to top that? That's ego.
No, you really are wrong about that.
Okay.
What I was saying was that if you have these great precursors,
right,
you know, the Joyce, the Yeats, the Beckett, we have so many of them. What one has to do is find a route out of that magnificent cemetery.
Okay.
And find new ways of saying the old things. That's all it is. Now, of course, I have an ego, but that's a separate thing.
So have you been able to find your way out of the cemetery or not?
That's not for me to say. I can't judge.
Okay. So you've been referred to as the novelist of ideas, and you did this really, I mean, it seems to me what I read for is, interesting ideas, maybe an intriguing plot, but it's sentences that I read for. Beautiful, clever, wise, funny sentences, choice lines that you can't get from most people.
To sit at my desk and, I'm plodding along, and language is the most difficult, mulish, treacherous medium that one can work with. I mean, when I was a teenager, I tried to paint for a while. I had no talent, but I realised that it'd be wonderful to work with paint rather than language.
Yeah.
Because language is used up. You've been speaking this stuff since we came down from the trees.
Yeah, but there's hundreds of thousands of words to choose from.
Yes. People are always annoyed at me that I use so many of them. I mean, one of the minor duties of the artist, literary artist, is to keep the language pure. Tyrants love sloppy, simple language.
Yeah.
We keep it rich and resistant to tyranny, I hope.
So you're a fan of Orwell then?
Yeah, I admire Orwell. Yes. Yeah, I do. But I disagree with him because Orwell said that the sentence should be a pane of glass through which we look at what's being said, at the ideas. I don't agree with that at all. The sentence is like, it's like a phrase in music, and it should have music. It should have, it should be seductive. Yeah. Sometimes that can, especially for Irish writers, because we use too many words, and we love the sound of our own voices, so we have to suppress ourselves, which Joyce should have done in Ulysses. Ulysses should be about half the length it is.
Yeah.
It'd be much better.
I think Martin Amis said 20%.
Yeah, well, I would say half.
20% was good. Yeah.
Half, and Finnegan's Wake I could live without.
Totally.
But, well, I always say that Finnegan's Wake is a great disaster with equal emphasis on both words.
It's a good way to go insane.
Yeah. But, there's on the first page of Finnegan's Wake, there's a really cheap pun where he's talking about Peninsular Wars, and he says Peninsular Wars. God almighty, a schoolboy would be ashamed to say such a thing.
It's funny, because, he's held in such reverence.
But he was very clever, he was so clever.
Well, he wanted to keep the scholars busy for 100 years. I mean, I guess he was arrogant, was he?
Oh, yeah, oh my God.
Yeah.
He was, and vain.
So not like you then?
Well, I am arrogant, but I think that what Joyce had was vanity, and I'm not vain in any way. I find myself utterly ridiculous.
How do you define what's the difference between the two?
He had the vanity that he could conceive of himself as a great man, a great figure.
Okay.
A great figure in the world. I don't, I just see myself as a...
It's just arrogant.
Well, let me put it this way. It's small-scale arrogance, you know?
It's humble arrogance.
Humble arrogance. Exactly, humble arrogance. And nobody believes it. Nobody takes it seriously for a moment, you know?
Right.
But I'm pontificating about this or that, you know, after a few glasses of wine. I have the impression that the entire table is just trying not to laugh.
Okay.
But then you see also, I don't read reviews. I don't read anything about myself.
No, that's good.
So I don't have any conception of what the world thinks of me.
Yes, okay.
Except I do read, when the paperbacks come out, I read the little quotes on the back. And I think, you know, book reviews, wonderful, they're so short, and they're all favourable.
Right. Okay, so getting back to what you do, art is shallow and therein lies its deeps. The face is all, and in front of the face, the mask. What does that mean? This is again, I'm quoting from Personae of Summer. I pronounced that wrong, didn't I?
The Personae of Summer.
Personae?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a poem by Wallace Stevens.
Yeah,
No,
you love Stevens.
It's a line from Wallace Stevens.
Yeah, you love Stevens, don't you?
I do. I can't
Even though
understand.
he's hard to understand.
Most of it I can't understand, but it's
yeah.
wonderful music. Although Elizabeth Bishop said about Wallace Stevens, he said, he makes iambic pentameter moo. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Have some of your wine?
What's that?
Let's have some of your wine. Good.
Yeah, I'm not so big on white wine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that's okay.
I haven't got
no,
any
no,
red.
that's okay.
Oh, I think I have a little red. I can get you a glass of red.
No, but you can have that.
Let me get you a glass.
No. Well, whatever works.
Turn the thing off for a second.
No, I'll screw it up if I turn it off. But you can
okay.
go. No. I'll just edit it. You.
Okay. It'll be what's the wild noise of what? When they record background.
Yeah. Wild track. Okay. All right. Yes. So you can't help what you do, and what do you do again?
I make sentences.
You make sentences. Okay. Now okay. That's all you do is just make sentences and stick them together.
Yeah. Well, one sentence leads to another.
Okay, and
that's how I work. I
Okay.
get sentences near to
yes,
perfection as I possibly can, which is very far away from perfection.
yeah,
As near as I can
yeah,
get.
as close as you can get without
that
thinking.
generates-
If I touch it again,
Yeah.
I'm going to screw it up some
Yeah.
more, so I'm going to leave it.
That generates the next sentence. There's great delight in making these
Yes,
strange
yes,
things. I remember the
a
day
bliss, a bliss.
I had written a scene where a man is sitting in a kitchen looking out window at the greenery and so on. A sentence came to me, you know,
Yeah.
without the wild world whirls as it will. Which I think is a beautiful sentence.
What's this again?
Without the wild world whirls. as
The
it will.
wild world worlds.
Yeah. Translates very easily into German because, of course, whirls as a verb is a Heideggerian verb.
Okay.
These are the trivial pursuits that
No,
pass
no,
my
it's
time.
deep. It's funny though. You just said here that anyway. Let's just look at the writers you admire the most are the ones who have abandoned the pretense of realism, who have ceased to try to speak about things in favor of speaking the things themselves, such as Beckett or Thomas Bernhardt, or those who took the old forms and worked a revolution from within, such as Henry James. The wrought and polished object itself, an astonishment standing in the world. That's what interests me.
Yeah, well, that's I don't need to add to that.
No, you don't. You said that.
But
But then what you say is the world and being in it are such a mystery that the artist stands before it in a trance of bafflement. So, what do? You sit there in a trance of bafflement.
yeah, and I try to explain the thing to myself, and of course it can't be explained.
The
But
meaning of
it's better to say I try to account for it to myself. Being in this world is such a strange phenomenon. There's a wonderful little passage in Rilke's Duino Elegies. I could do it in German, but let's do it in English. Where he says, he's saying, why bother to live at all? And he says, because being here is much, and because all this that's here, so fleeting, seems to require us and strangely concerns us. That expresses what I do, or what I endeavour to do, to even though life is so brief. I can't believe I'm 77. I'm really 37, but I can't believe I'm 77.
Couldn't agree with you more from where I'm at.
But the being here is so extraordinary. It is a constant astonishment.
That's wonderful that you maintain that astonishment. Really.
But I think you would have to be very unhappy not to.
But many people are unhappy.
Yeah, but I can't do anything about that except write sentences that might cheer them up a bit. But in my book Singularities, one of the narrators says he's talking about blackbirds, and he says, "Imagine a world without blackbirds." And he says, "But imagine a world with blackbirds."
Mm.
That's the astonishment. These things sit in the trees, and
they're
they're shouting at each other,
Yeah, nature, and you're also rightfully astonished by what human beings have done in trying to figure out why we're here and figure out meaning and systems and such.
Well, we're such a strange species. We're the most devastating virus this planet has ever had to deal with. We may destroy it yet, unless Mother Nature destroys us first. I had high hopes for COVID, but they were dashed. Right. But now I'm putting all my money on avian flu. That may be the one.
That's coming back, is it?
That will get rid of us. That will get rid of us.
AI is going to get rid of us.
So I'm told. My son writes code, and he told me that the other day, he starts writing a piece of code, and the AI will finish it for him. He said the other day, he was approaching the keyboard with his fingers, and the thing started working.
Shit.
I said, "How did you know you were there?" He said, "I don't know." Not scary?
That is, yeah.
Well, it's going to be a great adventure. Us against the AIs.
Yeah. Okay, so the trance of bafflement. Then, in confrontation with the total enigma, all that the artist can do, it seems to me, is set up analogues, parallel microcosms, tiny models of the huge original with which the mind may play in earnest. I'm speaking of a pictured world, not a world anatomized. Nietzsche was the first to recognize that the true depth of a thing is in its surface. Art is shallow, and therefore lies its deeps. The face is all... Yeah, I already asked that. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
What I say, it seems to be quite simple.
It's not simple. I don't understand.
No?
Well, I'm simple.
Do you
know? No, I don't.
Well, one of the reasons, the main reason I tried to be a painter when I was in my mid-teens was that I was fascinated by the fact that all we can know of the world is its surface. Nobody's ever seen a cube. We have the concept of a cube, but you cannot see a cube. You can only see 3, maybe 4 faces of it. You have to trust that it is a cube. This is a very strange thing when you think about it. We think we know things, but it may all be just a flat surface. Fantastically...
Like a flat world, you mean?
Fantastically, beautifully wrought to fool us. Descartes, had the notion of this malignant spirit who just fooled us into thinking that we exist. But I mean, that's to go too deep. I mean, I just love the world. I just love the surface of the world.
Okay.
And that's all I can know.
All art aspires to the condition of pure style.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, because then you don't have to express things or talk about things, or it's just pure evidence. It's just the thing itself.
So you saying this brings up Catherine Schultz. She wrote Lost and Found. It's a beautiful book. I highly recommend it. Lost and Found is what it is. And she said that all she's doing is bearing witness. And that's really important.
Exactly.
That's really important.
I've said that many times myself. I'm just bearing witness. This is what I saw.
And why is that so important?
It's important to bear witness, isn't it? To leave a trace.
To try to understand what's happening, you mean?
No. There's no
or
way.
Just to
There's
observe.
no possibility of my understanding. There's nothing to be understood.
Well, you can try and figure stuff out. Like you can have lessons, life lessons, or wisdom.
No.
No, don't you? I mean, I want to learn. I want to learn how to live my life better from a novel. Maybe if I can reflect on my own life.
You're going to the wrong place. Go to the priests. Go to the psychologists. You won't learn that. All we're giving is a picture of how things are. I always say I'm not interested in what people do. I'm interested in what people are. I have to strike past the everyday stuff, talking about the weather, having love affairs. It's an essential thing. That's what I meant by saying that the artist doesn't talk about things, he speaks the thing itself. He, she, or it. Nigel, these are not difficult concepts. You're overthinking them. This is all very simple.
You're a purveyor of possible meaning, lessons, wisdom, i.e., love is the most important thing in the world. Connection is.
Did I say that?
No, I'm
right.
throwing this out here. Connection with other human beings and kindness. Plus, you're trying to entertain me and distract me from the horror of exactly what's going on here, which is sitting on a planet, and I don't know where I came from, where I'm going.
Absolutely not. What art does is it is not an escape from the world, it is an escape into the world.
I wasn't saying it was an escape.
You're talking about entertainment. You want to be entertained and diverted from.
Well, that's what you're doing by publishing a book. You want to entertain people. You don't.
Certainly not.
Your publisher sure as hell does.
Oh, well, of course. Publishers are publishers. Their desires are frequently quite divergent with ours.
Who is your publisher anyway? Faber?
Faber now, yeah.
How long has it been Faber?
Oh, just a while. I couldn't get a publisher in England for my last novel, Singularities, which says more about the state of publishing in England than it does about my book. Things is bad.
Okay, so we figured out, I think, what you do. Have we talked about how you do it? Other than just putting the sentences together, right?
Yeah,
And you basically, you're happy with the sentence, and that propels you to put the next
I'm never
one.
happy with a sentence.
You're as happy as you can be.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's how you do it. Why do you do it? Because it gives you joy and...
I have no idea why I do it.
Why
I do it because that would be like asking me why I breathe. I have to do it.
You have to do it. Yeah, it's like you asking me, why are you doing this interviewing and how do you make money? Well, I do it because I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah. That sums it up.
Okay.
I don't know how to do anything else. Look, I could. I've worked as a journalist for 35 years. I could do that, but this is serious business I'm engaged in.
Why?
Well, it could be that what I do speaks to, should our poor old race survive, a sentence or two of mine might speak to somebody 400 years from now. I go to Madrid and I go to the Prado and I look at Velázquez's Las Meninas, one of the great works of art ever made, and I
I
stand
prefer
before
Goya myself, but
Well, I know that the world divides into the Goyas and the people like Goya and people like Velázquez. But I stand before it, and it's a standing mystery. It is completely enigmatic. I don't know why he did it that way. And the painter is looking from behind the canvas at us with very wonderful wry smile, saying, "You think you're going to figure this out? Keep trying." I've seen the picture I don't know how many times. Once my publishers got me into the Prado before anybody was there, before it opened. And I was in that room, little room, the Prado, where the Velázquez paintings are. And I was sorry I'd done it because I was so uncomfortable. Because the paintings were looking at me. The paintings are saying, why are you here? You think you're going to figure us out? No. That's one of the wonderful things about art. Art is a mystery that is never, ever solved. That's why we go back to it again and again and again. Why do we go back to late Beethoven Sonata? Why do we go back to Joyce's Dubliners? Why do we look at a great painting of Pierre Bonnard? I mean, Bonnard was one of the great painters, and one of the reasons that you know that Bonnard was a great painter is that Picasso was always attacking him.
Yeah.
Picasso knew he was a fraud, but he knew Bonnard was a real painter. That wonderful thing that when Braque was interviewed late in life and said, what do you think about Picasso? Braque said, Pablo, my friend Pablo, he used to be a good painter. Now he's just a genius. Which is very astute observation.
Well, he had energy, is what he had. But I think, he just.
So do serial killers.
Good point. It's a good. Is that a good place to end this? Is that what you're suggesting?
I think so. We've covered it all, haven't we?
Well, I've got a shitload more questions here, but
I'd just be saying the same things over and over again.
You would probably. Did we say why it matters? You said it was serious because someone 400 years from now might read it, but big deal.
Yes, but also it's serious because it is the best that a human being can do.
Best what?
The best work. Even a foul human being like Louis Ferdinand Céline, Heidegger, Heidegger the Nazi, Céline the fascist.
Anti-Semite.
Anti-Semite, unforgivably. But their work stands above that. It's separate from them. It is a statement in the world that is affirmative. And also it is the best that they could do. Very few things in the world, You can look at a beautifully made piano, or my wife is a weaver, she'd make these beautiful rugs, not that. But she would make beautiful things. She hated them all, of course, like me.
Yeah, you hate all your novels.
Books, all my books. She hated them.
Yeah.
We went to a friend's house one day, and we came in the door and she said, "Oh, that's a nice rug. Where'd you get that?" I said, "Darling, you did that." She said, "Oh, did I? Shit."
That's because what? She's just so productive like you are. You've forgotten a few novels you've written?
No, everything. Let me try to clarify this. If you're engaged in a serious endeavor, you aim for perfection. And we cannot have perfection. We are imperfect beings.
Right.
So everything that we do, every product we produce, is a failure.
It's the best that we can do, and typically we're happy. Like I'm happy with most of what I do. I look back, I don't hate it. I think good for you. So what does that mean? I'm not much of an artist.
Do you aspire to be an artist?
Yeah, this conversation is a work of art. My work of art.
Yes, but it could be better done.
It could have been a lot better.
Everything.
But wait until I edit it, though. That's where the art comes in.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I think it is very important. It's vital to be serious but never solemn. Solemnity is the death of art.
Yeah, you've said that before. I'm just trying to, again.
I've said everything twice.
No,
At least
no.
twice by now.
No, well, here and yeah, I want to get something new on the record though. So,
Good luck with that.
yeah, so
I'm 77. I've said everything.
no, I know, but here we are. My project is to understand. No, it isn't. It isn't. It's to observe. It's to bear witness to what's going on with the book. Bear witness to what's going on with the book at the turn of the 21st century. So, and you're a best practitioner. You don't want to be called a novelist, though. A sentence maker, and you also have published a lot of books. So what's going on at this time in the world for you?
Well, for me, I'm getting ready to depart, so...
But your connection with books, your understanding and interest in books, your work with books.
It seems to me this is a perilous time, but then that's what all old men say. I once did an interview with a Spanish journalist, and I said, Steve Jobs destroyed my world. He said, oh, I have my headline. That's to put it a bit strongly, but I think that the advent of the cell phone and of Umberto Eco said that he believed in the 1970s that the written word was going to be of no importance, and then everything would be visual, everything would be images. He said then came new technology, and he said everybody's reading, everybody's writing. Most of it's rubbish.
Yeah, most of it's rubbish.
99.9% of it's
Yep.
rubbish. But, the process of changing black marks on a white background into images, ideas, philosophies, this is an extraordinary phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say that even if you're only reading the back of a cornflakes packet over breakfast, you're still reading, you're still doing this extraordinary thing. I mean, it isn't extraordinary. It's only because we're used to it. It's like clouds, we're used to clouds, so we're not standing in amazement before them every moment of our lives. It's just because we got used to the fact of being able to read.
Like I think you've said that a cloud's got like
one of those big clouds
atomic energy, like a hydrogen bomb or
one of those
something.
big clouds could destroy us if it used its energy.
Yeah.
We live in a very... and it's amazing that we're allowed to survive as long as we do. There are so many things. I remember when I went to Australia, I was talking about this, and a friend of mine said, come and live in Australia, mate. There are more things here that will kill you than anywhere else in the world. And she said to me, there's a spider that if you're sitting on the loo, it'll come up and bite you on the bum, and you're gone in 3 seconds. So, the world is very fragile, and we are...
Life is fragile.
We're among the most fragile of all.
Yeah.
But isn't it extraordinary what we've done? For every Hitler there are 2 Beethovens.
Yeah, yeah.
We have done extraordinary things, given what we are, given our limitations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, AI, artificial intelligence, is frightening, but what an extraordinary achievement it is. You cannot but stand back in amazement.
And how does that connect to books again?
That's you quoted me saying that, I stand in a trance of amazement before the world and our being in it.
Bafflement, you said.
Bafflement. I'm absolutely baffled. I'm still baffled. I can't.
Yeah.
I just, it's glorious bafflement.
Yeah.
I'm slightly drunk constantly in the face of this very strange... I've only written in my own voice once in one of the novels, short paragraph, where a character says, I've never got used to being on this earth. This was a paragraph that Martin Amis noticed and admired immensely. My poor, much missed friend.
Yes, I do want to, before we leave, I do want to have a few words about him.
Yeah. He, in this paragraph,
yes.
I said, I've never got used to being on this earth. it seems to me that our presence here is a cosmic blunder. We weren't meant to be here. And then the narrator says, I wonder how they're getting on. People who are meant to be here, how are they getting on in our world, on the other side of the universe? And he says, no, they would have become extinct long ago. For how would they, gentle earthlings, how would they survive in a place meant to contain us? I think that's true. We are, as I said earlier, we are the most dangerous virus this poor planet has ever had to cope with. But, I say again, look what we've done.
Yeah.
Look at the poetry of Rilke, look at the paintings of Goya or Velázquez or whoever you wish to pick. Look at the music, look at the science. I mean, science is just astonishing, absolutely astonishing. I mean, we've developed a theory, quantum theory, which works, you know, it works our cell phones, it works your laptop.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea what it is. Richard Feynman, one of the great quantum scientists, said, if anybody tells you they understand quantum physics, they're lying, because nobody understands it.
Well, didn't you say it was
about,
like a wave or a particle? They don't even know, or what?
Yeah, but you know this. Do you know about entanglement?
No.
Oh, right.
Well, I do in relationships.
No, entanglement is you have two subatomic particles. One is red and one is blue, and they're joined. Right? You separate them. You take the red one to the far side of the universe. You change its color. Instantaneously, the one left will change its color. Now this is not supposed to be possible. Nobody understands this. And yet it's used in your phones, it's used. So we're using technology that we have no idea how it works. But isn't it amazing that we conceived of these things?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
You know, I mean, the problem is, you know, so many of us are so stupid.
Yes, that is. I was thinking that on the train over here.
You would be inclined to think of that when you're on the train from the city to Howth on a fine Sunday afternoon. But you know, all of those stupid people, they have their own complexity.
Yeah.
Their own.
Well, they have feelings. Yeah.
They feel, but even beside every, you know,
Yeah.
a slow worm has feelings.
Yeah.
But they have intricacies, intellectual intricacies.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being on that train, going to, it doesn't matter where, I was going across the city with my wife. And there are lots of working class areas between here and Dublin. And these four girls got on at one of the stations. And they were loud, they were raucous, they were vulgar, they were ugly. But one of them, she was as loud and raucous, ugly as it, but I could see that if she had grown up in a different class, she'd be running a business. And I could see in her eyes, she never met my eyes, I could see she knew that I knew the tragedy of her life. I've never forgotten it. And she was a wonderful creature. I mean, she was so full of life, but she had no education, she had no, God knows what, she probably had
no
abusive family and so on.
Yeah.
No opportunities. But the things she could have done had she been
And you
given,
just sensed that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I just, it wasn't difficult. She was just far brighter than she was being allowed to be. That's one of the great tragedies of the world we live in. That so much human potential is not used. You know, people are capable of the most extraordinary things. I found this when my wife was dying and she was in a hospital. Dealing with the nurses, they were just astonishing. They had such tenderness and they had such infinitely, how would I say, they just knew that their instincts were so finely calibrated. And they weren't intellectuals, they didn't read my books, you know.
Sensitive.
God forbid it.
They were women too.
Sensitive. Yeah, well, women, yes, of course. I mean, I think women. There's a, you know that guy in he's a comedian, but he's very lugubrious. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he has this song, and it's a spoken song. He says, "Women, take over before it's too late. we've been doing it for an awfully long time, and we really got it wrong.
Yeah.
And there's not much time left, so will you please take over? That's my feeling. I think women should be running the place because we fucked it up big time, as they say in America. But let's not end.
That's another good way to end it.
No.
No, but you're positive too.
Not with a four-letter word. No, I mean women. I've all my life, from my mother on, from my aunts, my cousins, my.
You're lucky to have all those women in your life.
Well, I was interested in them. You see.
Yeah.
Almost every woman I've ever known, I'm still in touch with.
That's very nice.
Dead, but
Yeah.
There are women I had affairs with.
How many?
Decades ago.
How many?
Oh, hundreds. I don't know, a few. But I still love them. I have lunch with them every now and then. We hold hands. We're still in love with each other. This is what a wonderful gift. And, here's a place to end. Years ago, I was in the University of Lyon in France.
Uh-huh.
I was giving a reading. It was before lunch. Then we went to lunch, and it was 13 men in an upstairs room. The Last Supper.
Yeah.
And it was the most boring. I remember thinking, this is my idea of hell. Sitting at a table with just men for all eternity.
Totally.
If one woman had come in there, everything would have changed.
All the peacocks would have come out.
Not that the men were everything was very decorous. There were no dirty jokes.
No.
None of that.
No.
It was just boring.
It is.
Whereas a woman would have just got the thing going.
Yeah, I think we like to show off in front of women for sure. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, but you're right. Of course, you're right. But I do think women inject a kind of. Also, I mean, the female sense of humor is so much more. I mean, men can't afford to laugh at themselves because somebody might take them seriously. Might really think they are laughing at themselves. Whereas women laugh at themselves all the time.
Okay, well,
Come on, you can edit it.
No, I've got something to just want to pop in here about you've also said, and I totally agree. It's why I do what I do, in part certainly, and that is there's nothing better than a good human connection, a good connection with another human being.
Well, I wouldn't go quite that far.
Nothing better.
Making a good sentence is better.
You think making good sentences is better than connecting with a really decent, lovely, smart, funny...
But I would be doing that in a different life. When I stand up from my desk, the John Banville who did the writing ceases to exist. Then I become the person who wants to have a good lunch, wants to fall in love, wants to do all that stuff. But that's nothing to do with the person who only exists at the desk. There's a total distinction between the two, and a total break.
So who showed up here then just now?
Oh, it's me.
Who?
I mean, I'm talking about. I'm just
the writer or the other guy.
The writer only exists if I'm sitting writing.
Okay, being quiet and making sentences.
Nothing.
I see. Okay.
My poor family, they used to say. My wife told me, sometimes she'd say, "Should we go up and check, just see if he's still alive?" There's been no sound out of there for 8 hours. And I've said famously, notoriously, I've said in public, I'd sell my children for a good sentence.
Nice.
A great exaggeration, but you take the point.
How does that make them feel? We'll find out this evening at supper.
My ears have been reddened, my ears have been boxed many times, so things I've said in public.
And again, that's about ego. Honest. That's about ego. You want to be remembered for the greatest sentence ever written.
No, honestly, you've got the whole...
Have I got it wrong?
You've got it wrong.
Well, why do you want to sell your kids? Why do you want to sell your kids for that sentence?
Nothing to do with me.
You don't want your name attached to that? Okay.
I would like to think that, after the avian flu kills off almost everybody, and the world reverts to the Stone Age, and then,
Tries to scrape
2,000
it.
years from now, somebody stumbles on one of my books in a dog-eared copy
Yeah.
and reads it.
But you want it to be anonymous, though.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Why should I had nothing to do with this.
no, I don't. I'm sorry. We'll have to
I
continue.
know it's a hard concept.
It is. It's too hard for me.
But if artists were,
Lots of
If more
artists have
artists-
got enormous egos.
if more artists were as honest as I am, they would say, yeah, he's right. We don't give a damn. You can
Okay.
do anything
Okay.
except making the work of art.
Okay. Well,
You know, when Stravinsky was in America and Pearl Harbor was attacked, Stravinsky said, where am I going to live now?
okay.
Let's go now.
Yes, thank you. This has been wonderful.
I'm sorry, you didn't like the wine?
I love the wine. I'm talking all the time here. So
I'll finish that before we go.
I'll finish this and just wind up by saying thank you. This has been wonderful. Yeah,
We had fun.
yeah, and it's over now. It's just starting now. I think.
Well, actually, one thing we didn't talk about.
Oh, we didn't talk about Amos, Martin Amos. Can we just quickly put that in?
The concept of joy, of sheer delight, of making something that is beautiful and light and that might give delight and joy to other people. I write for myself, and I'm always amazed other people find in my work something that gives them joy and delight. But that's very important. Now, Martin, my poor friend Martin, God, I miss him so much. You know, he had this reputation as the enfant terrible. I mean, in his 60s, people were still thinking he was the bad boy of English literature, but he was such a sweet man, a delightful company. I know this is what people say about the dead, but I would have said it about him when he was alive. The first time Martin and I met, I was very lucky. On the same day I met two wonderful writers. Claudia Margaris was launching his book Danube in London, and I was books editor in the Irish Times, and I was going over to talk to him, and I thought I'll contact Amos. We'd never met, so I wrote to Amos and I said we should have lunch, So we had lunch in his local restaurant up in Notting Hill, and two short little men, big egos, exchanging banalities for about 10 minutes. And I said, Martin, look, let's stop this. I said, if I get a good review or win a prize, you hate me, and vice versa, right? He said, yeah. So I said, let's shake hands. We shook hands. We were friends ever after. A delightful man, a wonderful writer. I mean,
Wonderful, one of my favorites.
Great loss. God.
Yeah.
But he did smoke all those bloody cigarettes.
Yeah.
It was a sort of a life. It was a passion. One of the passions of his life was cigarettes. He was seriously addicted, but very funny.
His sentences, I've screamed with laughter at some of his stuff. Like Nicola Six, like God wanting to fuck Nicola Six, and her telling God to piss off.
Yeah.
That I don't think I've laughed harder at anything.
I would not have had Martin's nerve, his courage, to address the contemporary world and to try to make it stylish. He sent me, can't remember, I think it was money. And the dedication is, Dear John, a farewell to form, Martin. And I would not have, I'm a formalist. He had the courage to sprawl. And he made, my God, he sprawled magnificently. Getting me choked up.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that.
Yes, let's.
It's because he moved to New York and I saw very little of him the last 4 or 5 years. He wrote to me the day that his father died. He emailed me.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm astonished at how devastated I am. He was asking me about my father, and I said, well, oddly enough, your father said that the best gift a father can give to his son is to die young. I said, my father died before I was 35. It was a great gift. We had a laugh about that, but he was very, very upset. And of course, Martin was always very proud, rightly so, of the fact that, I mean, Kingsley and Martin, this is unique in the world. The father and his son, both wonderful writers.
Yeah.
Both, you know,
Yeah.
verging on great.
Verging on great, yeah.
Certainly Martin did.
I think, yeah.
And who knows, I mean, posterity may judge that he was great. We can't tell.
Yeah, I mean, the fact he didn't win the Booker, I mean, that's just, it doesn't mean anything.
For God's sake.
It doesn't.
Damn thing.
It doesn't.
He wrote to me once and said, Jesus, John, you have prizes coming out of your hair. I wrote to him, I said, yes, Mark, like dandruff.
No, that doesn't mean so much in the long run.
All prizes are consolation prizes. It's
Gee.
fun winning the Booker Prize, but it was silly as well.
Well, you said it's great for readership, obviously, too. You got so many more people reading your material. You know.
I don't care about that. What I care about is that, I mean, it's a pity that the Booker Prize is gone now. Nobody cares. But in those days, it was big news. It was front page news.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's exciting.
Front page news.
Yeah, it was very exciting.
Amazing thing. Dangerously cheap time now.
Okay.
But as I say, that's what all old men say.
Yeah, nothing is as good as it used to be.
That's right, yeah. Except sex.
Well, if you can still get it up.
As I remember, as I vaguely remember.
No, you can probably still get it up, but I'll cut that. Great. Okay, I'll turn this off.